So, hello everybody. I'm really excited to have you all here and to host this panel today. My name is Ben. I'm the co-founder and managing director of WeAreDevelopers. For those of you who do not know WeAreDevelopers, we're a platform that was founded in 2017 with the mission to connect software developers and employers with one another. We're most well known for the WeAreDevelopers World Congress. It's a congress that takes place every year except for this year. Bringing together more than 10,000 software developers, providing them with knowledge and connecting them with really exciting companies from all around the world. And the other thing we do is we have a recruiting platform, which consists of a job board and various other recruiting services that we use in order to connect employers with software developers in what we think is a very efficient, cost-effective, and fast way. So what we like to do is we like to share best practices from companies around the world with other companies in order to find out how we can work in a better way, how we can hire new talents, especially tech talents, in a better way. And one of these learnings is, how do companies deal with the topic of remote working, and how do they deal with the topic of remote hiring? Especially in the last couple of weeks, governmental regulations and health and safety measures have forced companies all around the world to, not have people come to the office, to work remotely, to stay in their home office. And at the same time, a lot of companies that have continued to hire despite the crisis, they have had to remotely hire, remotely recruit new talents, onboard them into the company. And this has, created a lot of challenges for organizations, both small and large organizations. And what we want to talk about today is how have different companies from different industries around the world dealt with this challenge. I'm really excited to have 4 very senior experts joining me today, both from the HR and from the IT field. And I'm going to allow them to introduce themselves very briefly before we start the discussion. So first up, I would like to call Vera Fotameria from the company Twinformatics on board.
Hello from my home office. I'm head of HR and communication of Twinformatics. So who is Twinformatics? We run the whole IT business for the biggest Austrian insurance company. This is VIG, Wiener Städtische und Donauversicherung. We run this business in Austria as well as in the CE countries with about 5,000 people, 5,000 employees. And our IT subsidiary is responsible for run as well as development for our insurance companies. And we also, for example, develop insurance apps or health apps. We are about 700 people, and all of us are in the home office, more or less for 8-9 weeks, and an advantage, but a great one.
Okay, thank you, Vera. Next up, I would like to call Karin Gschwendt, Director of HR at the Austrian Federal Computing Center. Hi, Karin, great to have you here.
Hi, everybody. So my name is Karin Gschwendt. I'm Director of Human Resources at the Austrian Federal Computing Center, which is the market-leading IT service provider for the Austrian public sector, and thus a critical part of the critical infrastructure in Austria that keeps Austria running in such a time, in such crisis time like now. We are located in Vienna, and we have about 1,400 employees, and our application and services, they facilitate public authority channels. As well, they also facilitate fast access to highly relevant information for the population of Austria, as well as for the economy.
Thank you, Karin. Next up, Michael Hakes from Mondi Group.
Hi there. Yeah, as you said, my name is Michael Hakes, working for the Mondi Group. I'm since 2 years with Mondi. I'm the head of HR. Mondi is a global company in more than 30 countries. We have our production facilities. We are working in the packaging and paper industry and are one of the main players in this industry. Yeah, as you said, we are also for a couple of weeks now in the home office. Not all 26,000 people, because we have production facilities and we continue to produce, but most of our admin people, and obviously here in Vienna, we have our headquarters with 650 people, and they are all at the home office right now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Michael. And last but not least, Sebastian Grams from SEAT, respectively SEAT Code.
Okay, so I will continue. So hello from Barcelona, Ben. I'm Sebastian Grams. I'm the responsible Chief Information Officer of SEAT, which is part of the Volkswagen Group, car manufacturer based in Spain, in Barcelona. And I'm also the responsible Board of Directors member of SEAT Code, which is our internal software development center based in Barcelona as well. And the same like the colleagues, we are also in home office based on the COVID situation around the world since 7 weeks, and happy to share some experience with you guys.
Thank you, Sebastian. So I'd like to start talking a little bit about the topic of what happened roughly about 2 months, a little bit more than 2 months ago, when governmental regulations and health and safety concerns started to gain traction. How did you deal with this situation? Can you describe the situation? What happened 2 months ago when you found out that more or less from, within a week, you have to implement remote working and you have to implement remote HR processes? How did you experience this whole situation? Maybe Vera, you can start telling us a little bit about your experiences.
So I have two different aspects, because my company, we were used to mobile working. So we have no problem with our 700 employees to change from Sunday to Monday, that everybody was at home, more or less. The difficulty was our insurance companies with about 5,000 employees were not used for doing the work at home, have mobile working. And this was the great change, or the opportunity for our employees to help them. And I have to say that now our IT people, our IT employees are the heroes of the company, because we did it.
How did the rest of the organization deal with this topic?
I mean, first of all, they were very irritated, and many employees of the insurance companies didn't have equipment by the company at home, and so they started to use their private ones, and we brought them to our, so to say, to our company, and they are very happy now that they tried something different, how to work. And so I think it will change the work at all in the future.
Mm-hmm. So the whole bring your own device policy was something new for the company?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe Karin, can you tell us a little bit about your experiences when everything started?
Yes, when everything started in March, we set up immediately an internal crisis team from the very beginning, and this team met almost daily from the initial when the restrictions began. So this enabled us to react very quickly on the measures that the government always announced. And on March 16, we all went into teleworking together. There were just a few people on site which are handling emergency operations like facility management, and a few people from internal IT. So what we needed immediately was a significant increase in bandwidth. And we also had additional VPN connections set up very quickly. And within a very short time, we needed to ensure this change of a smooth operations into teleworking. And this was important for us, but as well as for our customer, which is, of course, a significant part of the public sector in Austria. So we have been working very differently since March 16, but we are as successful. And what is important for us is that we are able to be a reliable partner for the public sector, and that our services are also ready there without any interruption. And we're able to manage that, so this was very good of us. But also within the first couple of weeks, we have been able to implement a couple of new contracts for our partners and for our customers. For example, for AMS, which is the labor market service in Austria, we developed and operated immediately an online calculator, and this was done within a couple of days. And for example, the website of the digital office, Digitale Amt, and at Österreich GVAT, we introduced immediately a landing page where up-to-date information about the corona crisis was set up. Or a third example, like the company service portal, there we provided specific information for the entrepreneur of Austria. And the crisis really showed us that also we are enormously efficient and we are reliable also in teleworking and under difficult conditions, and this made us very proud. And we received also a lot of positive feedbacks from our customers, a lot of thanks from everyone.
Michael, I think you're the company with the largest number of employees here in the round. How do you manage to turn such a large number of people into home office or remote workers?
Yeah, as said, not everybody was in home office, but I think our advantage was probably that we have some facilities in Asia. So we were aware very early about this crisis and what might come. So already in the second half of February, we called it Corona Response Team. We met daily and we talked about what has to change, what do we need to do. And so we stopped actually very early traveling between our plants to the headquarters, because we thought that's one of the areas where infections obviously spread very fast. And so our people got used that there will come some restrictions. And then, as Karin and Vera said, we also started in the headquarters from one day to the other, mid-March, to go in the home office. We tried also to get some more bandwidth, which we successfully did. But then, honestly, one of the bigger problems we faced, that our people were not so much used to talk via WebEx and video calls, so they were not going on mute. You had a lot of noise in the background. They didn't behave perfectly. They took a second call. And the first thing we did a WebEx training. So, and that helped a lot. So what we have seen in the last 4 to 6 weeks, people get more and more prepared. Nevertheless, we faced also the situation that people get a bit desperate, especially when they're alone at home. So they want to connect. We used, obviously, then more video conferences. We used at the beginning not so much the video, so it was more audio. But then we felt it's a need to really go on video and have some other things to talk about. So just an example, what I did with my team, we created weekly challenges, and people had to send in some videos, some pictures, and then at the end of the week we decided who is going to win this weekly challenge, and it was more a private interaction than only business. And that's what where I got very good feedback because people needed to want to connect. Meanwhile, we are talking about coming back to the office. So for us, it will start on the 18th of May, so in a couple of days. We only start with 20% back, but we have also said home office will something we are going to continue until the end of the year at least, and probably further down. But at least 50% of our headquarter population is going to continue working from home till the end of the year.
Okay. Sebastian, how did you deal with the whole situation at SEAT?
So yeah, also from our side, I think it was a very new situation overall. For us, it came very strong on a Friday in March. So on a Friday in March, our board decided that the whole office people are all sent to be in home office from Monday on. That meant from the next Monday on, we had 6,000 people of SEAT in the home office. And to be honest, we never had this kind of situation before. And we had to do a lot of things over the weekend. So the same what the colleagues were describing. We also installed some new VPN servers in our data center over the weekend. We worked hard on increasing our bandwidth over the weekend, and I would say we managed it very successful. So from Monday on, we had really between 5,000 and 6,000 VPN users working on the different applications. And just to give you a feeling, we are hosting around about 1,500 different applications in SEAT for our employees, which is a big number. And we also learned a lot of things from our colleagues in China. So the same what we learned from the Monty group, we had the same in SEAT. So we had also some weeks before calls with our colleagues in China. So they were used to face that situation, and we tried to prepare as best as we can. At the end, I have to say I'm really proud of my team, of my IT team. The people are also very happy in SEAT. They were able to deal completely everything over home office. It's not easy because especially in Barcelona and Spain, most of the parents both are working. So most of the people have also little children or kids at home, and people have to work and also taking care about the kids. I think we all learned a lot of things over the last 7 weeks, and we have started to come back to the office last week. We are also ramping now up with around about 25% of people coming back to the offices. But I have to say, so critical and so bad the situation is, from an IT perspective and from a CIO perspective, it helped a lot to digitize our company in a very short time. Maybe I would say we never would reach that point in a few years, what we have now reached in only 6 to 7 weeks. And this is my experience. And there are a lot of new things we have learned with making rituals, what we are also doing, like daily meetings in a personal way. I think also the kind of having a picture and a video, not only the audio session in a meeting, is very important. And I'm feeling very close to the team, I have to say, even if we are all sitting at home. And overall, as a conclusion, I think this will help our companies a lot for the future in the sense of being digitized, more digitized.
Michael, I thought something interesting you mentioned was the topic of kind of well-being and the emotions that came up. Sebastian, you also touched on this. Question to the round: how are you ensuring the well-being and the happiness of your employees in times where they are in isolation? Lots of people are not together with their families. They're stuck at home in their apartments, not able to go out. I know from my own experience that this can be a very stressful and emotionally challenging time. So how are you as companies trying to foster the well-being of your employees in these difficult times?
Maybe I should start. Okay, so we had a very intensive information policy by news, but as well as by emails, and we tried to share information day by day. And then we mixed it up by some funny social aspects. For example, we also sent chocolate at the home address at Easter. Or, for example, normally we have quarterly a big meeting with all of our employees, and we transferred this at home. Normally they get some coffee or cakes, and we also send the cakes to their home address, and to get them the feeling that we are here and we are in contact. We also launched a social opportunity where people now can phone us. Sorry. Can phone us if they have some problems or give them some support with their children now for their homework. And we have the feeling that we are more close together than before the Corona time. And we also have the situation that people who left our company, for example, for 1 year or for 6 months because insurance is not as popular as maybe in some else. They gave us a phone call and asked, "Hey, can we come back?" And yes, we brought them back in our company. We have a good close feeling now. I think it's a good time.
Yeah, so maybe I continue because it's really nice what you are saying with bringing the cookies to home. We have a similar topic, for example, in our software company in SEAT Code in Barcelona. So people are getting delivered daily their breakfast packs from SEAT Code with some nice messages, with some postcards inside, and they are really happy to be also kind of connected with these little things. And what we have installed, for example, is a virtual coffee kitchen. Yeah, so you can step whenever you like. So this we did in IT, and this we did also in SEAT Code. You can step whenever you have some free time into the virtual coffee kitchen, and you will meet definitely some colleagues which are drinking coffee at home, and so you can have a chat. Rule in the coffee kitchen is that we are not talking about Corona topics, so it's not allowed to do that. And also on Fridays, we have created two new topics. So one is we have a virtual cocktail session where we meet all the guys and talking completely not about Corona. We are talking about some food experience over the weekend, what we are cooking at home, what we are doing, what we are playing with the kids at home. So also to learn about that. And on Fridays, this is not new. I'm sending out every Friday a so-called TGIF. Thanks God it's Friday, where it's kind of a summary of the week. If the people are not in the office, that they are getting more information and feeling more close to what happens in between. That's our experience, or some little things we have introduced.
Yes,
Maybe I can step, or should I
Please
step
go
in
ahead.
here?
Please go ahead.
Okay. Because we did also similar things. First of all, our management, they communicated on a very regular basis. So every time that the government announced new measurements, there was a communication from the management. And so this means that the employees knew immediately what it means for them, what the new measure means for them, and what it means for us as a company. So this was the first point. The second point is that we also offered webinars to our employees about healthy working from home, and we wanted to support them psychologically, physically, to move enough when you're working from home, to take breaks, to really learn to take care of your own needs, because there is no general guideline how to feel well. I mean, every one of us is different. Everyone has different needs and different preferences. So, of course, it is about moving, about taking breaks, about healthy eating. But you have to learn to get to know yourself. And we also have to learn that this period might even take longer, and we have to be ready to cope with this situation for a longer time. And then thirdly, I want to add something similar that the two colleagues previously mentioned. Before the crisis, we used mystery lunch. Maybe you know this tool when people get connected over lunch, and it's a great tool to network, to meet new colleagues in a large company. And we have changed immediately this mystery lunch to a virtual coffee break. So now our colleagues meet each other virtually for coffee, and there, of course, they can talk about anything except job. And this is really helping, because, of course, what we are all missing are some of these spontaneous meetings when you meet someone in an aisle and you exchange a lot of information. So we have to somehow flip the switch and get this also into the virtual world. And then one other point is also that we give a lot of empowerment to our managers, because they also need to take care of the employees and to think about how are they feeling, how is their family, how is it to take care of the children, what kind of stress do they have, because sometimes it's difficult to have to take care of children, cooking and working, or maybe there's some elderly people in the household they have to take care of. There might be neighbors, but I think that this is also something positive from the whole crisis, because all the bad things have also good sides. What we are really seeing here is increased solidarity within our companies, within our society, and I think this is something which does us all good. So, as I said, every bad thing has also good sides.
Yeah, let me probably say a couple of sentences as well. I will not repeat what you all said. We did very similar things. Also a message from the CEO on a weekly basis, but the whole management team did videos on a weekly basis just to inform people, because information during these times is absolutely key. We encourage, obviously, management as well to reach out to their teams, do something different, do something crazy. But then what we in addition did is we had 40 hours, a 2 days communication session, which was introduced by the CEO with a short video. And then all around the world, people could send questions in, which were then answered by the management team, by some other colleagues. It got so far that people exchanged cooking recipes. So it was a very nice session, and it caused the biggest traffic on our intranet we ever had since we launched the new intranet a year ago. We are working in addition with a company called Employee Assistance Program, and they provide some webinars in terms of healthy living, also what you do in certain problem situations. And we encourage our people as well to call these guys, because it's an individual service where you or somebody who is living in the same household can call and talk about your private problems when you have a depression, when you face a difficult time, but also just to get some tips what you can do. Last but not least, a nice thing was virtual sports lessons, where you could just participate in some yoga sessions and some other activities, so to keep your body alive and move a bit, although you have to stay at home.
Okay, that's super interesting. One of the things that both Karen and you, Michael, touched upon is empowering people managers in the organization. So obviously, managing people in a time when everything is going well, you're meeting regularly face to face, the economy is doing well, and you're not in a crisis is very different to managing other people in times of a crisis, when there's fear, when there's uncertainty, when people don't know what's going to happen in the future, and when people literally never meet physically. So my question to everyone in the round is, how did you empower team leaders and people managers in the different hierarchies of your organization to manage people in times of this crisis? So, for example, did you advise them on how to communicate? Did you advise them to communicate with daily stand-ups, with new tools that they perhaps didn't use previously? Also, how did you empower them to focus even more on the emotional side of things, on the emotional well-being of the employees versus the previous situation?
Vera, you want to start or should I go? Okay. Well, first of all, we offered webinars. One was about leadership in a crisis. Mm-hmm. And the second one was about leadership from a distance. With, of course, we offered also before, but now there was more the emphasis on this crisis situation. So this was a little bit about theory, but of course, it's also about being a role model, like the management being a role model. And then the third point is also to get somebody the tools to really step into the new position. For example, now that we empower team leaders when we will come back to the office, because from March 15 onwards, we will start going slowly back to the office. Until June, we will just go back to the office for very important meetings or for meetings where we really need interaction. And then from June onwards, there will be a maximum of 50% of our people in the headquarters. So this means it will be the responsibility also of the respective team managers to handle this, that their team doesn't, that their people are able to work from, they can first of all choose whether they want to work remotely or they want to be in the office. But it's a responsibility of the team lead every time to decide and to organize it with his own team, who of the team is on site and who is off site. So, and this means the more responsibility you give to a manager, the more he will learn to really act like a manager.
Mm-hmm.
We established a task force 1 week before the shutdown, and this means that we had daily meetings in the morning and in the afternoon, all together with the management, and we did not tell them anything how they should lead now. But after 2 weeks, we made a survey with our managers, how they deal with their employees and with their teams. And then we put all these ideas together and worked on best practice. And then we shared this one with all other people of our management. And there were a lot of good ideas and different ways. And we had the feeling, because we did not tell our managers how to do, but we trusted in them that they will find the right way. They were very motivated to take leadership, much more than time before. So this was very helpful. And the other thing was that the managing board, the board members, told them that they should not go on to have meetings they do not need. And now the meetings are much more effective and efficient. And we already had the decision that we don't want to go back to the normal meetings. We will stay in our new culture, because it's much more helpful and productive. Our employees are very happy because they also say, now we have enough time to do our work and not sitting in a meeting we don't need.
I think that's a very interesting point, and actually the next one I was going to touch upon. How is productivity affected in the company? Do you feel that teams and the people in your organization are more productive now that they are working remotely than before? And how will you try to implement this in the future?
I would say, sorry. Please go ahead.
I think we have seen both. As already said, a lot of people are more productive just due to the fact that they can concentrate. We have an open office, LAN screen office in our building. So sometimes it's hard when a lot of people talk on the phone or whatever. So just being at home, working on a topic by yourself is definitely more productive. On the other hand, we got also the feedback, and we just did a survey for all our employees, and some feedback says as well that, as Sebastian mentioned, if you are in a small apartment, you have 2 kids, both partners have to do a home office, it can be pretty nerve-wracking, and it doesn't work so well. So on one hand, I think it's definitely more productive, but for some people it was also a very difficult time, and I know they are looking forward to come back to the office.
Yeah. So also from my side, I agree, Michael, what you are saying. So we have different behaviors or different experiences over that time, especially from a coding experience. Yeah, in our SEAT code company, I would say what we have seen is that the productivity went up. Yeah, also the timing of when the people are working has completely shifted. For example, people with small kids, they were taking care while the day about the kids and the babies at home, and later on they started coding in the evening sessions, which is not a problem if you're working on a software product in a product team together. So I would say in that case, productivity was increasing. This is also the experience what I've shared with some other software development centers in our Volkswagen group. They made the same experience. And on the other side, where we are working on products with the business areas together, I would say it's maybe slightly reduced because you also need the contact of a product owner from the business area. But more or less, I would say we were not really much affected from that. Besides the situation, what we described before, having the family at home, taking care about the kids, people are not able to bring the kids to kindergarten, to school, to the nanny, whatever. So for sure, this is somehow affecting. But I would say the motivation of the people, and this is what I felt very strong, the motivation was so high. Yeah, so everybody was really committed to do the work, and this I really enjoyed in the discussions with my team, I have to say.
As a consequence of all this, and this is an open question to everyone, do you feel that you really need an office the way it was before the crisis started? Do people need their own offices? Do you need fixed places, or is it simply enough to have meeting points that people can use when they feel that they need to get together in person?
I think we still need offices, because I don't want to repeat what all the other colleagues said before, because there's not one answer to it. There's some people who work better from home, but there's some people who also need to get to the office. And the question is also, now we will all achieve this within a very short time frame for 2 months or 3 months. But as we are all coping with extra duties at home, children or grandchildren and neighbors, people to take care of, cooking the same time, the question is also, will we be that much more productive also if the whole situation continues for 6 months, 9 months, or 12 months? So this is also an important question where we do not know the answer yet. So that's why I think it will be also very important to have in the future also, of course, the office, but to have the flexibility as an employer to give really the option and the personal decision. Is it better for somebody to work from home remotely or the office, or switch between both sometimes, a couple of times during the week? I think this is also what you have to offer even more as an employer in the future, this flexibility.
Totally agree. Totally agree.
So that's some really interesting stuff, and it also reflects what we have been experiencing as a company with WeAreDevelopers. We feel that the productivity has increased. We've moved closer together because we're bonded through the collaboration in difficult times. What we've also seen, since we're operating a recruiting platform and a job board, is there are a lot of candidates, and I'm referring to software developers, who've become stuck between jobs. So we have a lot of cases of developers who were leaving one company. They already terminated their contract with their previous employer, and they were just about to sign the new contract, and then the hiring manager decided they're not going to hire people they haven't met in person because they just don't feel that they can really, get a feeling if this person really fits to them. We've seen a lot of these cases. So leading up to my next question, how are you dealing with the topic of remote hiring, assuming that you are hiring? How do you go about this? How have processes changed? What are your experiences? And maybe Vera, you can start, because I know you're hiring a lot of developers this year.
Yes, we have as a goal to hire about 100 people and developers and or operating managers. We went on with our recruiting. We launched a new homepage to be better present at the recruiting world. All our interviews are done for example, as on Teams or Zoom or something like that. So our managers did not have any problem with this way. Sometimes it was very interesting that some candidates said, "But we want to see the office." And it was important for them to see how the office, and then sometimes we made photos or a film and pictures of the team. So I had the feeling not our managers had the problem, but some of the candidates. But it worked well. So we hired March and April about 25 people. So it's going on very well. We're working on social media opportunities, and we also try to go new ways and implement new processes for recruiting. But we have the feeling that it's going on faster now, and decisions are faster by the managers to say, yes, okay, let's try together.
So the same here. Maybe I can continue with that, Ben. So for us, this was not really a problem, because we were already really digitized before Corona. So all the first meetings are done virtually. So we do normally a virtual session with a potential candidate. Afterwards, they have to do a online test. So this is also done in a digital way, and also our coding day, which we are asking our software developers for, is completely done remotely. And we have also onboarded several software developers in SEAT Code without any problem. The only topic what they have to do physically at the end is to do the medical check at the end. But this we could arrange with our health department to wait a bit longer after Corona, and therefore totally no problems. We have onboarded several candidates, nice experience. The people are searching for us, we are searching for people, and we will continue exactly like that. And if we have some interested candidates outside, I also want to use this platform here to ask for some new board members, for some new members in SEAT Code, because we are still hiring in SEAT Code software developers in different profiles.
Mhm.
I can only also add that from our side, we are also in the lucky position that we are hiring people. We have hired about 30 new employees in the last 2 months, and we switched the interviews immediately to via IMS Teams, and it was no problem at all. Even though we had some skeptical managers who had exactly what was told before, they were not sure if they should really hire someone that they haven't met personally. But very quickly they saw they had a choice to not hire at all or to take them, to give it a try. And we are all very happy with how it works currently. And I would also say or add what Vera said, that efficiency has increased because we see that the applicants are very easy available. Usually we have to discuss and find a date with them. Now they're all at home and they can just take half an hour, 45 minutes for a call, and it's absolutely no problem. So it's definitely faster than it was before. Something that might be interesting to see is what is going to happen, for example, with recruiting fairs, because some of them are postponed until autumn, some will take virtually, and we'll all have to see how these virtual events will really be accepted either by the applicants or by the companies. Something we currently think about is that we might offer that our recruiting team will be even more available by phone or by video calls to ask questions from the candidates or to ask questions from people who are interested. And something we will for sure, what we learned is that we will introduce is video recruiting. So that's something we thought about introducing last year, but then there were so many other priorities. But now with this situation, we are sure that the applicants will like that as well, and we will continue to do so.
Yeah, I guess with us it's slightly different. We are a very traditional industry. Then we have a lot of local production facilities. And when you have a local production facility, obviously you're looking for skilled workers, and they come most of the time from this local environment. So we are still inviting people, obviously not during these times, but for us it's also important that people see our facilities, because our production facilities are very special and people need to get a feel. We had some bad experiences when we didn't show the production, that people after a while didn't really understood that they have to work in shifts, that they have to wear some protection equipment, personal protection equipment, and so on. So for us, it's still important that we show it to people. In our headquarters, it's obviously very different. We are very international here in Vienna. Nevertheless, we still were very traditional in terms of recruiting. But I believe this crisis has changed a lot of things. If somebody 3 months would have said, we can go on home office, everybody in this building, people wouldn't believe that this is possible. It showed it's possible, and it worked partly better than before. So I think it gives a kick in certain directions, doing more things virtual, reducing travel. It will reduce a lot of costs as well, and building different relationships just by phoning people and having video conferences. So it's a good opportunity to do these changes right now, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, overall, it sounds like all of you have managed this crisis quite well. Like your C-levels have been very professional in setting up crisis communications, communicating on a very regular basis. But there's a lot of companies out there who have been struggling with this crisis in terms of their remote working operations and also hiring new people. So maybe as a bit of a closing statement, what are your most important learnings from the past 8 weeks when it comes to remote working, remote hiring, and remote HR? And what do you recommend to companies who are still struggling to find the right way? Ladies first.
Should I start? I think the most important thing is to trust in your employees, that they are motivated and that they are working hard at home. And if you trust in them, you get everything back. And I think maybe traditional ones have the problem to trust in their people. First of all, I would say this is one main thing, and trust also means that you give regulations to everything they do at home and how they do at home. They should find their own way to be productive. And as I don't know, Sebastian, I think you said some of them are working in the afternoon, some of them are working in the morning, some of them do it during the night. But they do their job, and now we see that it works. And the learning for us is go on in trust in your people. They will do it.
I can just add, yes, I agree completely with what you say about trust. Another thing that we have learned or maybe seen, and this is something which made us very proud, that cohesion was always something very special at WeAreDevelopers, especially in difficult times. And these crises made the cohesion in our company even stronger. We have seen more and more people being very proud of what WeAreDevelopers is doing. Also because we award a top job with a sense, and we make the life easier for 8 million people in Austria. Also, what I believe is before we had not all the managers were really trusted teleworking. It's exactly what Vera said before. We were able to work 30% of our normal working hours remotely with a maximum of 2 days a week. And for sure, we will evaluate this when this crisis is over and see how much more flexible we can be as an employer. And when you ask what sort of a tip we have or hint we have for other companies, I mean, I want to be honest that we are in a very lucky situation that we have a branch where we can flip the switch immediately. We can work remotely very easily, but we also have to be honest that there are jobs and there are branches where this is not possible, where really the whole business model has to be reconsidered. So it's about creativity, trying to make the best out of the situation and support the people with trust.
Yeah, maybe I can just confirm what you both said. And the biggest learning for us, it's probably when we try to change things in the past, we learned change is very difficult. And when you think you can switch a thing, sometimes you're surprised till the change really happens. It takes days, weeks, months, and sometimes years. And again, 3 months ago, nobody would have imagined that such a change in such a quick time would be possible. But it shows if there is a good reasoning behind it, it's possible. People can change very, very fast. And the nice thing is also there are definitely businesses who struggle very much due to the situation, but a lot of these businesses who struggle have had very creative ideas over the last couple of weeks, and they find new ways in dealing with this situation, find new ways in doing different businesses, and that's amazing. So every big crisis has also a great opportunity. That's our biggest learning.
Yeah, also from my side, Ben, as a personal conclusion, as a responsible for digitalization and IT in my company, the most important topic is really trust your team. Okay, I know that there are some discussions around other people working really at home. Yes, they are really working at home and they are doing their job. So first, as everybody said in these round, trust your team. This is the major key, and the people will pay back. And on the other side, second learning for me: be really close to your team, even if it's digital, and then you are also able to to make such a difficult situation successful. And as I said at the beginning, I really believe that this Corona crisis, nobody knows how long it will take, but this is helping a lot of companies to digitize their businesses in a much, much faster way than we ever thought before. This is my personal conclusion.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so yeah, I'd like to thank all of you for all of your insights. It's been, I think, really valuable to hear how you've been managing this crisis. There's a lot of learnings we talked about today that are that can be used in practice by HR practitioners, technical practitioners, and people managers. So I hope that the audience out there has benefited from this discussion today. I'm positive that they have. And I invite all of you, both our panelists and our audience, if you have other topics that you think we should discuss in the upcoming weeks and months that help companies to become more effective, to hire developers and IT professionals in a more effective way, especially in difficult times such as this, I really invite you to approach us, get in touch. Have a look at our blog. We're sharing a lot of information on productivity, on hiring, on recruiting topics, on best practices that we experience as one of Europe's leading recruiting platforms for IT professionals. So thank you very much to our panelists. It was great talking to all of you. I hope you have a great day, and I look forward to staying in touch with you. Thank you very much.